What is going on, bro? Welcome to the video, or should I say gains, bro. Workout complete, because I legitimately have a full sweat going on. Like, I thought if I made it out here early enough in the morning that it wasn't going to be that hot, but the Texas summertime heat is back. Also, I gotta apologize for the noise behind me. They're building up the last home in the neighborhood, so it's kind of loud construction. That being said, we got both of the babies looking fresh today. The Tesla over here, ever since we put that XPEL Stealth wrap on it, it just cleans so easily, it dries off so easily, it's amazing. And over here we got the OG Audi A4. I hadn't washed this probably in like 4 months, so it was looking real rough. But she's looking fresh, she's looking shiny. Anyway, as y'all know, I am 31 years old now, and honestly, I've achieved a level of financial freedom that I never would have thought was even remotely possible 10 years ago or 5 years ago. So today I want to share with you guys like the 3 most important steps that I took throughout my 20s to get here. And to be honest, these are all things that I wish I started doing sooner. These are steps that I'm still taking today to continue accumulating wealth. And I promise, even if you're not a YouTuber, you don't have your own businesses, you can apply these things starting right now. Lately, I've been experimenting with a lot of breakfast taco combinations. Today we got sweet potatoes and grilled chicken scrambled with eggs. And of course, my favorite hot taco sauce from my favorite taco restaurant. I just borrowed these from them. Back in my early 20s and my mid 20s, when people would talk to me about investing, A, I'd be like, that sounds complicated. And B, I was like, all right, so you want me to put away money that I'm making now, even though I don't have that much money after I cover my expenses, so that in 30 or 40 years when I get to be 60 years old, I have a little bit more money? Like, it just didn't make sense. And I realized for a lot of y'all, investing probably still seems like this kind of vague concept, but you need to realize investing money is a way to make more money, and to make more money like now already. My plan is to invest enough money in my 20s and 30s so that by the time I reach 40, I'm making enough money only from my investments that even if I didn't work another day in my life, I'd be making a big enough salary from those investments to live and live well and not even have to dip into my savings. All right, so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Let's take a look at this compound interest calculator. And let's say you invest $5,000 this year and that's it. You don't make any contributions after that. And let's say you leave it in there for 10 years and you get a 10% rate of return. That's the average the stock market returns. Obviously, some years it's higher, some years it's lower, which is why it's always better to leave your money in there for longer. You're gonna see that in 10 years, that $5,000 turned into $13,000. And this is because, as you can see from the green part of the lines, the amount of money you're making each year gets more and more, because as that $5,000 grows to $6,000, $7,000, now you're making 10% of the bigger amount of money. And the real magic happens if you invest $5,000 the first year and you invest $5,000, let's say every year after that. All of a sudden, you have $103,000, even though you've only invested $50,000. Like, your money more than doubled. And as you can see on this line, as the blue part of the line is the money you're putting in, the green part of the line is the money that you're making. The more money you put in, the faster and the more money you make. Like, you have to realize this is honestly insane. The way that wealthy people get wealthy is they don't only have their career or their business, they have a bunch of money that's just making money for them every year. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, but I want to tell you what I believe is the smartest and the easiest way to invest your money, and that is getting started with a Roth IRA, which is a simple account you can open with your bank, and you're allowed to invest up to $6,000 per year in there, and the money that you make inside that account is tax-free. It's a no-brainer. You need to max that out before you try and invest anywhere else. So basically, anything you can manage to invest up to $500 per month, because that's going to get you to that $6,000 per year, you have to make it a priority, man. Even if it's just $50 per month, this is going to change your life. And if you can manage to invest more than $500 a month, that's awesome. Throw it in a regular brokerage account. You will have to pay taxes on the gains, but like, you're still making money. But then once your money's actually in there, you have to choose which funds to invest it in. And there's an interesting statistic you need to know that I think 90% of actively managed investment funds failed to beat the market over a 15-year period. Basically, this means that, in my opinion, there's no point in trying to pick which stocks you want. It's way easier just to park your money in like a simple index fund that just mirrors the market, because on average, the market's gonna grow at that 10%. And if you try and pick individual stocks, sometimes you'll do better, but on average, like, you're gonna do worse. Personally, my favorite fund to put money in is the VOO, the VOO, that is a Vanguard fund with very low fees. A lot of funds will have higher fees and then you're not making as much money, obviously. That just mirrors the S&P 500. If you just park your money in there, you're literally doing better than 90% of investment professionals whose entire job and education is to pick stocks. Like me and you, we're not gonna do better than that. Now, quick note on cryptos, because I know that's the hot shit right now. And personally, I'm not super heavily invested into them, but y'all have to keep in mind that, of course, you hear stories of people who've made a lot of money, and I know people who've made a lot of money, but I know even more people who've lost a lot of money. They're just very volatile. It's a very speculative market. So really, you should only invest money that you're willing to lose. I would only even consider it once you've maxed out your Roth IRA. And keep in mind that, like, the rule of thumb is to invest 1% of your portfolio into Bitcoin. So let's say you have $10,000 invested, then put $100 into Bitcoin. If you have $100,000 invested, put $1,000 into Bitcoin. Of course, you can have a bad year and lose money in the stock market too, but like, it's been around for hundreds of years. It's very proven. No one really knows for sure what's going to happen with crypto. Now, one thing you have to understand about compounding interest is that if you're investing money, like, it can make you more and more money over time. But if you have debt, that also carries an interest rate, and if you don't pay it off, then the same thing applies. You're gonna be losing more and more money over time, and that's why I decided to partner with Upstart to be the sponsor of today's video. Check it out. Upstart is basically a fast and easy way to get a personal loan to pay off your debt all online. It doesn't matter if you're struggling with credit card debt or multiple sources of high interest debt. The idea is that if you can get a loan from somewhere like Upstart that has a lower interest rate versus what you're paying now, well, you're gonna be able to pay that off faster. And if you have multiple sources of debt, you're gonna be able to consolidate it all into one easy payment. Unlike other lenders, Upstart looks at more than just your credit score, which means they can offer smarter rates with their trusted partners. Like, it's no wonder over 500,000 people have used Upstart. With a 5-minute online rate check, you can see your rates up front for loans from anywhere from $1,000 to $50,000. And you can receive funds as fast as one business day after accepting your loan. So if you're ready to find out how Upstart can help you lower your monthly payments, just go to upstart.com/howtobeast or click that first link in description. That is upstart.com/howtobeast. Just make sure you use my link so they know who sent you. Hey, dude.
What's up?
I was talking to this dude right here. Hey, buddy. But full push day. Full body push day.
This says full body push day. That doesn't make any sense.
It's a push day with some leg press.
All right, yeah, we'll say we'll do that, but really we're just gonna do push.
So I'm gonna go ahead and say something that might not make sense immediately. You might reject this or think it sounds stupid, but I don't think budgeting is really worth your time. Like, I did this in my early 20s, and I mean, it's one thing if you're someone who blows $500 every weekends at the bars and clubs, because obviously if you stop doing that, that's $2,000 more a month you can invest. But if you're sitting around trying to see how you can cancel your Netflix subscription and Spotify subscription and never eat out or have a Starbucks coffee again, you're gonna be putting in a lot of like time and effort that's gonna limit your enjoyment of life. And instead, if you just applied that same time and effort to making more money, it would achieve a better end result. You're making more money and you still can enjoy these things. My first question for you is, do you have a career right now where if you look, 2 or 3 positions above where you are now, someone's making a lot more money than you? And if that's the case, that's awesome. That means you can very realistically get there. A good place to start is to ask someone, ideally in your company who's 2 or 3 positions above you, hey man, I know a few years ago you were doing what I'm doing and now, you've grown a lot. I was wondering if you kind of tell me some of the key steps you took to get there. Now, something else that's a no-brainer is just to talk to your boss and ask him what you need to do to get to the next level. But most people they're too timid or afraid to do this, and a lot of times when people do it, they're just like, hey, how do I get my promotion? You need to do this in an intelligent way. When I worked my software engineering job for a little over a year, I made 2 big promotions during that time. All I did was after 3 months, I went in and I was like, hey, I feel like I've really, learned all my responsibilities. I have a good handle over them. What can I do? What additional responsibilities can I take on to make your life easier and to add more value to the business? And then from there, I think my boss had to think about it a week. But then I went back in and we laid out a few metrics okay, you need to learn this programming languages. We need you to be on this many projects at a time. And after a month, I went back and was like, all right, I'm doing it. And then I got a promotion. A couple months later, I went back in and did the same thing. Now, obviously, some bosses aren't going to be cool about this. And if that's the case, then you should just start applying to other jobs, similar positions nearby, because it's going to be easier for you to negotiate a new higher starting salary than wasting your time with a boss who just doesn't care. Now, if you're in a career where realistically there's no room for growth, well, you're going to have to take the time to learn new skills so that you can get a better job. For example, my brother got his college degree in English, and for the last few years he was teaching kids English through Skype lessons, not making as much as he wanted, and then he signed up for a 6-month coding course at his local college. He went through that, and now he has a full-time job working for a software company, making a lot more money. And if you're someone who's trying to get a business off the ground, well, the same advice I gave earlier, find someone else who has a similar successful business and ask them, for their advice on the next steps you should take. The common theme here is if you want to make more money, there's a very obvious route of what you need to do to get there, but all of this is going to take time and effort. You can't just accept a job and sit back and sit in your cubicle all day or just do your basic shit. You have to take the time and energy to develop a plan to make more money. I just gave you some very straightforward steps, but you have to actually do those things. Y'all have been asking, and I got some good news. The Edge swim shorts, they're officially launching Monday, June 28th, which is next Monday, 3 days or 4 days from the date this video goes live. We got some classic colors here. This is Azul, it's a blue color. All of them have the simple Edge, one step further logo in the front. We got black, Max is rocking here. With black, we went with the neon drawstring, so a nice little accent. Over there, we got rose, we're calling it, a nice red color. We just wanted a good, simple fitting bathing suit, dope colorways, classic, nice little stretch in the material. Y'all are gonna love this.
It's nice, man. A lot of people overcomplicate the bathing suits. You just need something simple, fits good, quick drying, super comfortable, pockets. You're gonna love it.
So if y'all have been following the channel, then y'all know I just recently bought a house or built a house, and we sold it. Obviously, I recently bought the Tesla. We have the Audi, and if you guys have been following along, for years I was living in a 400 square foot apartment in Boston, riding a bicycle. When me and Julie moved to Austin, we were sharing her Volkswagen Jetta until it broke down and it wouldn't drive anymore. And for those last 2 or 3 years, I had the money to afford a nicer vehicle or to, afford a down payment on a home. But I very specifically chose, and I know this is something that you've done as well because I followed your journey, I made a specific decision. I'm gonna put off any big expenses. I've had a lot of friends who I know as soon as they've had the money to purchase a nice vehicle, they're on the lot trying to spend the $50K they've saved up on that vehicle. Yeah. Or they're well, technically my bank will get me a down payment for a $600,000 home. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to afford the monthly payments, but I think I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people just shoot themselves in the foot when they're starting to get momentum with their money and before getting to the point where they can be wealthy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people, they want all the things that come along with having nice stuff, but they kind of put this house, this car up on a pedestal, and then they kind of live above their means, and it always comes back and bites you in the ass. And you look at someone like David or myself that are, not only are we 31, right? We've been working on our businesses for a long time and our kind of career that we're doing, and you see us getting houses now, but This is the first time we've done this. This is the first time I bought a house. It's been a long time, 31. I could have afforded a house at 26, 27, but I didn't do it. I kept my head down and focused on the work instead of trying to, impress other people with what I can buy.
Yeah, my mindset's always kind of been like, I'm gonna put off big expenses until it's like slapping me in the face. They're like, okay, maybe I should do it now. Like the Jetta broke down. I was like, I don't even want to buy a new car. But we went to Honda, we went to Audi, and eventually, we did the used A4. I think we paid 32 or 34 for it. And even with that, like I could have at the time technically bought something a lot nicer, but my mind was like, oh, we'll pay 34 for this, and then we'll put 50 into stocks instead.
I think a lot of times people get caught up in keeping up with the Joneses. Everyone's trying to see who can afford what, what shiny object can you get next. And you got to just focus on your path and not let kind of the detours in life keep you off, take you off track. Just keep your blinders on, focus on you, and get your money right.
Yeah, I think my metrics for growth are never like the different assets that I own. My metrics for growth, I'm like, have I done better than last year? Have I done better than the last 6 months? And like, if you keep doing that and you keep growing, like inevitably you will have like disposable income to buy nice things. But if that's your motivation up front, you're never gonna have the income to like invest to actually be wealthy in the long run. You're just gonna like build up some money and then like lose it all. Build up some money and then like spend buying on some other dumb shit. One thing I want to quickly say about purchasing a house, I know a lot of people, like your parents or your friends, may pressure you to buy a house because, if you rent something, you're just throwing away your money. But you got to realize when you buy a house, you pay interest every month, you have to pay closing costs on the house, you have to pay property taxes every month. If something breaks, the maintenance is on you, and a lot of times, you end up wasting just as much money versus if you rent something. I can tell you that when it really makes sense to buy is if you're sure you're going to be in a location for 5 to 10 years minimum, because that's when you really start to see some appreciation on the house. I'm so thankful that during my 20s I moved around a bunch and rented in different places because it made me grow so much as a person, whereas if I just bought a house and got myself locked down, I would never have gotten this far.
He went twice because I took him for the first time he wanted to go.
We're on a little like a marathon of Mexican because next week's this is actually our last full week in Houston. And
Last time you're gonna see me, guys. Get a good look at it.
That's BS. We're gonna be coming back to Houston. Max will be coming to Austin. But Max was like, yo, we gotta get Mexican every night before you leave.
I'm testing it because I can eat the same thing every night. And he was like, I'll get Mexican every night. I'm like,
this is night 4.
See.
This is night 4. We got Mexican
We're
4 nights.
3. This is 3. And Julia backed out tonight, but then ended up coming, so.
I'm gonna get every night before we leave.
Except every night, and we're getting it tomorrow.
But you bailed on the night after tomorrow night.
I don't want to. It's a team dinner, dude.
Just in case y'all wonder what we get every single night, it's basically the same thing. A bunch of beef fajitas, some chicken fajitas, and then you make tacos. You guys hear those bugs? Man, these Texas bugs, everything's bigger, everything's louder in Texas too, I guess. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, I do appreciate you a lot. Please hit the thumbs up button. It really does help out the channel. If you're new to the channel, go ahead, click subscribe and turn notifications on because I release 2 new videos every single week and you don't want to miss them. I will talk to all of y'all in the next video. Stay beastly.